If you have ever opened the Fusion page in Davinci Resolve and felt like you're staring at the Matrix, you're not alone. But don't worry, I'm here to decode the mystery of Fusion nodes and show you how to create stunning motion graphics from scratch. We'll explore the different types of nodes in the toolbar, and I'll give you beginner-friendly examples to help you get started. Fusion is probably one of the most powerful pages in Davinci Resolve when it comes to creating anything you can imagine. It has a primary job: to be a compositor. That means combining different elements into a single image. This could mean creating visual effects like explosions or smoke, or making titles, graphics, and animations. In the upper left corner, we have the media page. This is where the media imported into your project is stored. If your layout looks different from mine, you can reset it by going to Workspace and then click on Reset UI Layout to match my screen. Also in the upper left, you'll see buttons for media pool and effects. Clicking these will show or hide their respective panels. On the right side, we have the inspector and other Fusion-specific panels, which we'll dive into later. Now let's talk about viewers. Fusion actually has two viewers, a left and a right viewer. These are somewhat similar to the source viewer and the timeline viewer on the edit page. By default, the right viewer shows what your composition will look like when it goes back to the edit page. At the bottom of the interface, we have the heart of Fusion, the node chart. This is where the magic happens. Nodes are the foundation of Fusion. Think of them as individual tools, each performing one specific task. A node is represented as a little box in the interface, and these boxes are connected like a flowchart. Each node has at least one input and one output. Every node does one thing. It's like following a recipe. Each node represents a step in the process, and together they create the final product. When you bring a clip from the timeline into Fusion, you'll start with the basic setup. Media in brings the clip from the edit page timeline into Fusion. Media out sends whatever you create in Fusion back to the timeline. Everything fancy happens between media in and media out nodes. For example, let's add a blur node. On the toolbar, you'll find a bunch of icons. These are shortcuts to create nodes quickly. Drag the blur icon down into the node chart. Drop it between media in and media out. When the connection line turns blue, it means the node is connected. Adjust the blur size slider in the inspector and watch as the image in the viewer becomes blurry. When you go back to the edit page, you'll see the clip is now blurred. This happens because Fusion sends the changes through the media out node. Let's hop back into Fusion and remove the blur node so that we can talk about some of the major nodes you'll be working with. Fusion has hundreds of nodes available, but you don't need to know all of them. If you open the Effects panel on the left and navigate to Tools, you'll see a full list of nodes. These are categorized for specific tasks like transforming, coloring, or creating effects. To view any node in a viewer, you can drag the node to either the left or the right viewer, or you can press 1 to display it in the left viewer, or 2 for the right viewer. Click on the little dots between the node to toggle its visibility in the viewers. When a dot is white, the node is visible in that viewer. If it's black, it's hidden. A lot of the nodes that you are actually going to use are right here on the toolbar, but the dividers break them into separate categories. There are 4 main types of nodes. For instance, the media in node is an image node. Its job is to display an image either from the timeline or directly from the media pool. To bring in another clip, just open the media pool panel and drag it onto the node graph. This action will create a new media in node for that clip. Another example of an image node is the background node, which generates images like a solid color. Open the inspector and you can modify the color or even change its type. For example, you can set it to a vertical gradient and adjust the colors as needed. Then there's the fast noise node, which generates a cloud-like pattern. In the inspector, you can tweak the details to get the look you want. We also have the text node, which adds text to your composition. Even though it's just text, it's technically an image of that text. You can adjust the text and its properties in the inspector. An example of an effect node is the blur node. By itself, the blur node doesn't do anything because an effect node needs an image to work with. Connect it to a media in node and you'll see the image in the viewer. Adjust the blur size and you'll notice the changes. You can compare the before and after by dragging the media in node to the left viewer and the blur node to the right. Effect nodes also work with other image nodes like text nodes. For example, connect a text node to a blur node. Increase the blur size and you'll have a blurred text. Another common effect node is the color corrector. Instead of applying the effect on top of an image, you run the image through the effect. Adjust the colors in the inspector and you'll see the changes take effect. Here's a tip for you. Hold Shift while dragging the blur node between two connected nodes and it will snap into place automatically. Other effect nodes include the color curves and brightness/contrast, which work in the same way. You feed an image through the node and adjust its properties in the inspector. Here's a shortcut tip. Press Shift and spacebar to open the Select Tool panel where you can quickly search for any node. Now let's talk about merge nodes, which are essential for layering in Fusion. Unlike other tools, Fusion doesn't let you simply add an overlay on top of an image. Instead, you use a merge node to combine layers. The yellow input is for the background, the green input is for the foreground, and the blue input is for an effect mask. Here's how it works. Connect the media in node to the yellow input and the media out node to the gray output. Nothing will change in the viewer yet because the merge node needs a foreground layer to work with. To add text as a foreground, create the text node and add your text. Then connect the text node to the green input of the merge node, and the text will overlay on your image. It's important that you can't add an effect directly to the merge node. For example, connecting a blur node to the green input won't work. Instead, you have to connect the blur node to the text first, and then send that blurred text to the merge node. If you have multiple layers to add, you can use additional merge nodes to stack them. Fusion layers work from the left side to the right side, so the order of your merge nodes determines the stacking order. To change the order, hold Shift and drag the foreground connection to a new position and reconnect it. Fusion also offers a multi-merge node, which is like a supercharged merge node. Plug in multiple layers and it automatically adds new inputs as needed. In the inspector, you'll see a list of layers where you can adjust their order. While multi-merge can handle many layers, it can get messy if you have a lot of image nodes. Using individual merge nodes often helps keep things organized. Finally, let's explore mask nodes, which are great for isolating parts of an image. In the toolbar, you'll find various mask shapes. For example, the ellipse mask creates a circle. Drag the edges to resize it, or use the inspector to adjust properties like soft edge and border width. Masks work by defining an area where the effect or adjustment will apply. Connect an image to a color corrector node, and then connect the mask to the color corrector. Now the color correction will only apply inside the masked area. If you wanted the effect outside of the mask, select the mask and check Invert in the inspector. Other types of masks include the rectangle mask for square or rectangular shapes, a polygon mask which lets you draw custom shapes, or a B-spline mask similar to polygon but with rounded edges. Fusion's node system might seem complex at first, but once you understand these core types, you'll be able to create incredible compositions. If you're a beginner and you're just starting out using Davinci Resolve, you can check out this video next.